Derivatives trading involves substantial risk of loss and is not suitable for all investors. Past performance is not necessarily indicative of future results.
So stressful. When the world's on fire. Good God. I can't look at this, guys. Like, my strategy is you buy it and you hope that you got a good spot. Yeah, but we all think you're crazy. You don't fight this. No way. The markets are freaking out and you don't think that anything is wrong? Come back tomorrow and I'll lose it all. Should be fun. Good morning, everybody. It is April 20th, Monday. Hope you had a good weekend because, I don't know, this market is kind of hinting to me that it might be a little wild this week. I don't know for sure, of course, but things are looking kind of interesting. Let's come and look at the chart here. So, if we look at the volume profile, man, I think I messed up some things on my setup, but it's okay. You can see here, on Friday, there was this big gap up on the close. Thursday, big gap up. And then most of Friday, we were coming back on it. And then after the option split closed, we rushed back up. Now, in the overnight session, we opened up a tiny little bit lower, and now we have finally retraced pretty much that entire move. So now we're kind of at a crossroads again, starting the week, kind of in a no man's land. So for me, I'm going to have to see some confirmation. It's going to have to give me some pretty good hints about where it's going to go before I think I can take anything in the E-mini. Oh, we should also check here in the treasuries. Treasuries were pretty high on Friday. Pushing up. Came back down a little bit. They haven't pushed back quite as much. So they kind of are hinting that maybe there's not as much risk, but there seems to be some disagreement. And that kind of gets me into why I think that we're going to see a lot of weird stuff this week. Because what's going to happen is the factors that are influencing different markets are going to be vastly different. And the market doesn't have the full picture. And so you could see certain correlations and other things kind of screw up and cause a lot of chaos. Good morning, Anthony. Did you hex coin? Hex did 30 times. Wow. What? I've never heard of that. Sounds like a globalist coin or something like that. Now let's see here. I kind of screwed up a couple of my charts and I need to fix them up here. Yeah. That's weird. What would I break this time? There we go. Need to gonna have to fix a few things here on this chart. It sounds like a wonderful scam. Well, 30 times overnight, that really is something. Excuse me, there's going to be a lot of noise here from my mouse as I fix everything here. Up, down. Background should be maybe like 10. Paint the background.
Daniel K. says good morning.
Morning, Daniel. How are you?
Anthony Monroe says 30 times since December 2019, Seth.
Oh, okay. So not overnight, but still. Well, E-money is moving around quite a bit. See, at the moment, the E-money is kind of hinting that they're going to turn up. Of course, not sure where they ultimately go, but you know what? What if we made the TFC? What if we made the TFC confirmation or neutral? What if we made the neutral color transparent instead of dim gray? What's that like? Sure. Sure. Oops. There we go. I have a little indicator I need to mess with too, but I can do that later. I can do that after the stream, I guess. Okay. So now that we got that all worked out, U.S. coronavirus death toll surpasses 40,000. U.S. House Republican leader McCarthy, Democrats continue to hold up coronavirus funding deal for small businesses. That the way that headline is phrased, it makes it sound like that the Democrats are holding it up because they want to help small businesses, but that's not the case. White House advisor Hassert, Q2 will show negative economic numbers in the U.S. No. Sometimes the you really gotta wonder, like, do these guys that tweet this, they realize how dumb some of these headlines are? They must be trying to game the Twitter bots. That's the only explanation. Because why would you tweet that? Let's see here. Complete cratering of WTI oil as it drops below 1150. Whoa, 1150. Wait, what? Is that possible? How is that even possible? Let's look at CL 22. Yes. It's definitely ugly.
Nicholas Rivera says hello. Trying to understand your DOMs here.
Sure. Well, I will try and explain it to you. Two main DOMs that I'm going to be looking at are going to be the ES and the ZN. Sometimes because I have them all next to each other, I know that it kind of will look like a big, like, just massive text, but you can kind of see the windows. Like, there's the ZN, and there's the ES. There's also the micro ES, but, like, you didn't really pay attention to the volume in that because it's not as influential as the ES. And then this, if we're looking the ES, because that's the one that's more active right now. The orange reddish column is, I'm going to say it's orange red, but anyways, it's really red. That's offers, and these are bids, meaning limit orders sitting on the exchange waiting to get filled at a specific price. The columns in the middle are market orders hitting into those limits. Okay. So 61.85 to try and clear the offers at 28.14.75. And they weren't able to do it. Look, there's still 21 up there. So it kind of tells you, okay, they tried to clear the offers, but more added on top of it. And those are the sorts of things that we're looking for. How much does it take for it to pierce through a level? Are there levels where they keep refreshing and fighting and fighting and fighting over and over again? And are there prices where they just move right through them? And does it change? And what is the overall balance between them? So basically every little statistical thing that you can kind of tease out of the level 2 there are things that we could potentially use to tell us something about this market. So for instance, here I have a histogram that kind of tells me how big the bids are compared to the offers, and you can see some changes. So there are some orders stacking on the offer, and they are pushing down. They're pushing down, but they aren't getting new market orders to come into it. So this may, here at 28.14, be a spot to buy. Let's see. Oh man, my back was messed up there. I don't know if you heard that. It didn't feel good.
Nicholas Rivera says thanks.
Because one other thing is this column right here is your volume profile. Orange price is the VWAP. Okay, so they were able to get through 28.14. Wouldn't be surprised. You always would give it two good points to say if you're truly wrong or not. But that's not a signal that I normally look at, so I'm not going to take a trade on it. But they're kind of hinting that they're having a little bit of trouble getting through there. But that's kind of the question: is do they actually make it? Because you know what the situation is right now, and what we're trying to do is we're trying to find a situation where we can predict what's going to happen in the future. Well, the offer is pushing really hard right now. Okay, well, they made the treasury tick up. Based on what I'm seeing, I would have to be long in the treasuries. But 0.3 half is not necessarily a really great risk reward position. Okay, so now do you see how it's switched? Buyers are trying to buy it now. They're not making a lot of leeway though. They do appear to be trying to buy it though. A little bit of two-way action there. Okay. Getting an outside bar. It looks like a buy. It's definitely a buy. Look at the book has changed now. Let's just take a little experiment.
Nicholas Rivera says when you say buyers are trying to buy, you mean market orders are finally depleting the parked limits in the ask?
Yes. And the book has kind of changed a little bit, right? That was weird. Okay. So let's just say if this one turns out, it's going to be up there. We hit 1650. That is where we opened the hour. So I'm going to be watching that. So they're going to want to try and prevent it from getting above there. Nope. There comes that offer again. Oh, look at that. My, oh my. So that actually gives us a little bit of room here. What's going on over here? I'm missing something. Wonder where it went. Wonder where it went. Price change. Make them big and bold. I like to have these moving averages over here because it kind of gives us an idea of where the momentum kind of changes, and you can kind of see that they were pushing some volume down in here, and then all of a sudden they just got snapped back up here. But now, since then, they haven't really pushed it another move yet. Not yet. We've kind of created a consolidation zone, so okay. Can they make it out the other side? Well, it looks like they will. Oh, it's so close. You gotta get above that 28.17. Actually, really 17.25. Okay, so they're clearing out the offers at 28, 16, 25, but not really. Okay, there you go. Oh yeah, that's what we wanted. Next step at 28, 18, 50. So at the moment, when I look at um, the DOM and the ES, and there's definitely some volume going back and forth. I don't necessarily see any of the limit orders really fighting, trying to hold a spot. They'll clear and everything, but it really seems to have more to do with right now which way the market orders come in. And so far, over the past 5-10 minutes, it's been mostly up. So you can kind of see my far right column there. It's almost all blue because
Nicholas Rivera says,
offers
what are
are
those 103 at 18.50?
103. Yeah. Well, there was a big order up there, right? Is that what you're talking about? Like there's 28, 18, 75. For instance, there's 117 right
Nicholas
now.
Rivera says they are gone now.
Yeah, you're talking about the big offer, right? So one thing that you are going to notice is a certain number of ticks away. There's almost always going to be at least one
Nicholas Rivera
order.
says yes.
Yeah, there's always going to be at least one order that's relatively large compared to the other ones. And I don't think it necessarily means a whole lot. It's just something that the algorithms do. I think that it kind of ends up with like a bunch of algorithms just happen to have their profits set at the same price or something like that. So just as an example, in ZB right now, there's 386 at 180 at 16. Now 16 is a price that they really like to mess with. So you'll always see weird things at 16, and so it makes sense that they're gonna have a big order place there. And then you can see on the other side at 181 even, there's 138 placed. So that's pretty typical to see at those prices. And then in the E-mini, like now that we've moved up, right, there's another one now at 28, 21, 25. So it's always there. That's why, especially in ES, you kind of have to look at the whole book to really get a feel for what it's doing. And also note that different markets are going to have different behaviors, right? The E-mini, in my experience at least, since we've been watching it, tends to move towards the market orders. So right now, sorry, move towards the limit orders. So right now there's a little bit more offers than there are bids. See, there's like 582 versus 382 in this oscillator right here. Well, now it's flipped around, but that means that there's people taking trades expecting it to go up into that area. So I think what kind of happened down that one was people were looking for it to make another little leg up and it collapsed on them. Somebody sold it so that I have a pullback. So we got a little bit of like we're getting price discovery right now too. Like pushing into new prices. probably we see something like, I don't know. I think if I was to guess here, my chart, I drew a line. I kind of see a little line like starting from this line, this one over here, and over to this one, something like that. Okay, well, looking pretty good. Even though we are getting pullbacks here, they're kind of they're pretty small so far. Probably you need a bigger pullback than that for them to continue up, but it's just like here on the bottom. Where's the market orders? Only 5 hit 28.1750. Okay. So there was a few when they went through that, then a couple of people got in. By the way, how high up do we got to go to get the daily open? Well, it's going to be somewhere around 860. There we go. Now this one could be interesting because if they get above 28.1875, then you've got a real expansion in volatility. It's kind of interesting. It's just like they stopped caring for no reason, you know? It's like no more volume coming in. Kind of funny. Okay. A little bit of a drop there. Okay, so that time they were hitting up into it and it fought them, right? And you're seeing a lot more volume trade in here too. Hmm. Seems like the buyers aren't having too much trouble pushing price, but then they're not. They're not trying to shove it out the top side yet. Kind of see there 73 at 28.16. 117. Okay, they finally held it. Cool. Forex Live is retweeting this market sticker that says Carnival stock price target cut to $16 from $54 at JP Morgan. Like, yeah, you're a little late, bud. uh, Apparently, Marco Rubio is on CNBC right now. Mm, yeah, and they get it on the outside again. Hmm. Okay. So there's kind of your line in the sand again. Let's see if it changes at all. Well, there was a bunch of people buying it in the micro, but the E-mini didn't go there. I don't know if you saw there was a little bit of a stop run there in the micro, but the E-mini only traded the 15 contracts at 28.1675 and didn't really go.
Nicholas Rivera says thanks, gotta go. We'll look at the replay to understand your method.
Yeah. Hey, thank you for stopping by. Okay, yeah, that looks good. Oops, I don't have Discord open. We should check in on them. We should check in on Discord. Oh, have a problem. Good morning. Mm. Now over in the treasury.
Bot says hand waving morning.
Over in the treasury, something's happened.
Krzysztof Szczesny says hi. Any prediction for today SP 500?
I think we may be in due for some volatility. I'm going to be really interested to see where the VIX opens today. I don't have the future, so I can't see where it is at the moment. But if it's higher than it was on, say, for Thursday, Friday, then like watch out. I'm just a little that I was just noticing that the E-mini, while we were paying attention to this, that the E-mini just like rocketed out of there from 03 half or so up to 06, which is a little concerning. I don't have all my correlations up, so I'm not supposed to worry about it, but just something I think I should note. Yeah. We're just kind of rotating around this 28, 16, 15 is kind of like a open. We should come in and we should load our levels. I think that would be really useful at the moment. Oh, yeah. Okay. Yeah. 28.21 is previous low. I think this right here kind of gives us an out. So let's come in here to my journal. Journal Q. Yep, that one right there. Okay, so this was this one, and so that one kind of. I know I got out of that one. I'm gonna be upset if it just like goes, but
Bot says overnight VIX posted to your Discord PM.
let's see. It is higher. Interesting. So what would that put us at today? Let's see here. Earlier in the week, we were like at 42.45, and to this day, we are at 42.50. So it's not an alarmingly dramatic increase, but it is an increase that we're going to have to keep an eye on. At the moment, it appears to me, I think that trade that I took was a little bit tepid. It was in line with what I want to see. I could get in again right here, but they were just coming a little bit. Actually, you know what? Probably shouldn't have gotten out of that. But because I guess the thing is I really want to let it ride, right? And my stop was still back at 28.1350, and they didn't touch that. So we'll see if they get out above this next little swing up here. I think I want to put my price pivots on this chart over here. Bum, 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 bum. Where did I put it? It's over in TGN, right? No, I didn't put it in there yet. Cool. So, actually confirming a pivot low there, I see. So it really is like a shouldn't have gotten out. There's definitely some selling up at the top of that, though, right? They can't seem to get too very far before they run into trouble. Hmm. Yeah, like that. Just like that. Well, I don't know. It's now 7:08. It's often the case that at the little bit after the top of the hour, we get some sort of move initiation. And now that it's 7:08, I mean it's not really until it's really not until like 8:15, 9:15 Eastern time, 7:15 my time, then I'm really like, well, I don't know if it's going to do anything. But you can kind of see the way that they're doing it right now. There doesn't seem to be a very clear at the moment um, control of the market. There's definitely I definitely things still see things as positive at the moment, but I don't see like clear control. And there is also definitely some resistance up above us. It doesn't mean that they can't bust through it, but like at 28, at 1875 or so, yeah, 1875. There's definitely somebody uh taking it there and stopping it. Actually, kind of looks just based off of the order flow. It may be the case that they just ran out of steam there, but okay. Okay. So you can see it comes up there. The market orders to push it out aren't coming yet. Well, they are kind of squeezing it, but I don't know about that one, guys. Mhm. Mhm. Okay. Right. Now that one, I think, closes it. Done now. Well, we can try going the other way now. Wow. Yeah. When I took that, I was like, I probably shouldn't be taking it here. So I think I'm falling victim. The question to me now is like, when something like that fails, should I try and reverse it or should I just wait for the next hour? Well, it's 7:15. Wow, is this one going to end up being a... That's curious. Yeah. The bar completely equal to the previous bar. See, that right there is telling me, tactically at least, that was wrong. So I'm going to take a step back here for a second. Because as negative as it looks to me right now, I realize how how quickly back and forth it could go.
Michael XC says nice and quiet here.
Yeah, it's definitely Monday. There's a lot of you guys watching today, though. I think, though, I mean, I had a trade there. I tried messing around with it a few too many times. But I had a long there that was kind of like a little questionable just because it's the beginning of the week, anyways. And I thought that it went pretty well, but it looks like there's just because it's the beginning of the week and there's a little bit of conflicting signals, you just can't seem to get it to run. See, as soon as this 6:30 time period came in, the market became extremely tight. Why is this? Hmm. I have to go back and look at why that is that way, but oh, I know why it is. I know why. Yeah. Are they gonna do it this time? Not sure. They're not quite pushing it. Okay, let's see here. So I have to write some more notes down. Yeah, that didn't sound good. Well, once again, they came up a little short.
Bots says they're still waiting for the overnight repo market to be settled and rolled into today's books.
Okay. So they beat that last little high by a tick. Let's see if they can get out of where there was some resistance. Okay. 28.21 was a previous low. That's going to be a spot where there's going to be some. Mhm. Okay, well, we had some bullish action, quite bullish action there. In fact, I would say just ahead of the open. And now we got about a minute before the open. We'll see what they do. Okay. So first impulse is short. Okay. So they brought it back to the open, but they're having a hard time getting over the open. Okay. Piercing that top side, but not decisively yet. My oh my, how many times are you going to come up to that? Okay. Now they might go a little bit up. Yeah. Okay. So there was a good impulse along, and now the shorts are trying to take it again. You're kind of getting the same thing where it's like now when they try and get it below the open, it fights and they have a hard time keeping it below the open. Okay. Hmm. So it started to run, and then somebody came in and tried to put a top on it. We'll see if that holds, but yeah, I kind of thought so. It's just like one little battle in the war, you know? Hmm. Yeah, it's quite bullish. Mm, mm. Yeah, it's going. Well, now we gotta start looking at what we got. This is the opening range. Wow.
Raul Fernandez Jr. says, do you have any vidas going over your setup here?
So I do have a little video that I made really long time ago about my setup, although a lot of changes has happened. Oh. And it's kind of not really uh sorry, hold on a second. I've changed my setup so many times since then that I don't know if it's like terribly useful. But I mean, I've got DOM set up for all of the major instruments. And I have a little chart down here that shows you every single price movement on the E-mini, which is mostly there for fun. That's the gist of it.
Michael XC says it's a setup.
It's a setup. Oh, that was a good one, Michael. Always love a good pun.
RJ Wheel says so the ladder volume is more important than the chart.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Sam Willow says can you get BTC on one of those ladders?
I can, actually. Well, you can get the Bitcoin futures, but I will show you here. What you get is not so amazing. Oh, do I need to add it over here? Hold on. Where are you? There you are. Okay. There you go. Oh, wait, is it 420? Oh, maybe I don't get data for it right now. Yeah, I guess I was getting data for it on Rhythmic, but I don't get data for it on CQG. That's interesting. At least not top of the book. At least not the level 2 for that. Oh, no, wait. Actually, I do. It just took it a while for it to load. Okay, so what I was gonna say is, so you can definitely see the Bitcoin futures, but the first thing is because I'm using Rhythmic, I think, let's see, if I just up this, will they actually, I don't think that they'll actually show me more levels. Yeah, maybe if I request 20 levels.
Michael XC says probably would
No.
make more sense to use Bookmap for crypto.
Yeah, but the issue is that
Michael
it's so
XC
thin
says
there on
not
the
that I've
inside.
investigated that.
Yeah, it's so thin there on the inside that it's of questionable utility. The thicker the book is, the more useful the level 2 is going to be for you.
Sam Willow says placing orders on Bookmap not a thing though. Sam Willow says I like to trade on the ladder.
Yeah,
Sam Willow says anyways thanks.
they do have a ladder of sorts in Bookmap, right? You can make the ladder and you can enter your orders in on the right side. Not that I've used it, just looking at the screenshot.
Arash says good morning.
Hey, good morning, man. Welcome back. But it's not as good of a DOM as Jigsaw.
Patrick Desing says you can place trades in Bookmap, and it has a DOM.
Yeah, it has a DOM. It's just not quite as good.
Raul Fernandez Jr. says new to futures starting out on the MES before I can stomach the S. How did you Leonard to use the ladder DOMs?
Leonard. That's a funny typo. No, don't worry about it, bro. Yeah, so really the only way that you learn the order flow is you have to watch it. So let me try and explain this analogy. Let me put you off read for a second. Imagine you wanted to learn how to play basketball. You could go and you could find a really good coach and you could take classes and sit down and learn all of the different plays and learn lots of things about basketball. Connection froze. Yeah, we're back. That doesn't happen very often, but every once in a while it's inevitable that you might get a disconnect from YouTube servers. It's just a YouTube thing. Anyways, it's a game, and you're playing it against the best players in the world. The only way that you're going to be able to win against those best players is practicing to have played the game. And there's a meta to it, right? Because there are situations like in basketball. Okay. In basketball, there's a play called the pick and roll. In the pick and roll, you got two players on the setup and you got one defender. And the two offensive players kind of play off each other and force the defender to commit to one person or the other. And then when they do, you give it to the other person, and the other person goes and makes a basket. Okay. And you don't know which player is going to get it. And so there's this whole thing about the game about how you position yourself to defend based on which way you think that they're going, right? And it changes. Sometimes it's always going to be the forward that's going to get it, and sometimes it's always going to be the guard that gets it. And there's kind of patterns, and it's like rock, paper, and scissors, right? The market is exactly the same way. There are key points at which there are decision points that the algorithms and everything else kind of look at as like key points. And some people are betting one way and some people are betting the other way. And there's a whole metagame going on about which side that people decide to take based off of what it did last time and what the situation is right now and everything else like that. And you're trying to have the experience and know based on situations that you've seen in the past what the correct way is to go, and algorithms are trying to use statistics that it's gleaned out of it in the recent past about which way it can go, and that's basically dom trading. But of course, if you do that, a lot of those places are kind of 50-50, right? So usually with dom trading, you want to have something else involved in it, right? By the way, I think while I was talking there, I probably should have gotten out, but
Michael XC says there are no knowns, there are known unknowns, there are unknown unknowns.
Yep.
Arash says, is it possible to make the NT8 DOM look like yours?
It's not. There are add-ons that you can buy that will make the NT8 DOM look close. They get the job done. I mean, the real issue with the NT8 DOM is that it wastes so much space.
Raul Fernandez Jr. says, thanks, I appreciate the explanation. I'll look for more info on it. I just want to overcomplicate my setup.
I just want to overcomplicate my setup. Yeah, I mean, the way that I do it is I basically get as many numbers on your screen as possible and then click the ones that look pretty.
Raul Fernandez Jr. says, don't asterisk.
I don't. I see. Well, I think what you will find is you'll trade on the DOM, especially if you're going to trade it on the E-mini. You're going to see things, and you're going to have theories about how they're going to work out. And maybe you'll find that it works most of the time, or maybe you'll find something that when it does work, it really runs. But usually what happens is you'll start trading it and you'll start having difficulty with it. And you've really got to, how do I say, over time, you'll refine things and maybe you find something that you want to use in conjunction with it, which is kind of where I'm at right now. And you're going to go through things, right? Because what'll happen is you'll find something that works really, really well, and then you'll start trading it for a while and it'll stop working. That's the way things tend to go. You notice how they're fighting me? Fine. And let you waste all of your market orders. Sell it down. Go ahead. Okay. Interesting.
Raul Fernandez Jr. says coming from the equity side I use price action, volume, level 2, tape.
Yeah. Although level 2 in equities is like not even close to the same thing. Unfortunately. It drives me nuts that they even call it the same thing because they're like completely different, right? This could come all the way back to the open. Let's see. Hmm. So I'm definitely seeing now some price discovery the downside.
Good Kisser says how's profit been looking lately?
Bot says it doesn't always stop working. Sometimes we are the architects of our own demise and we fiddle
That
with
could be
something
true.
that's working until we've broken it.
I think the thing that's difficult is how do you sit down and qualify whether something works or doesn't work? And then once you've decided that it does work, how do you decide that it's stopped working? Because you could have something that like, it stops working for 3 months, but then if you stuck with it for 3 months, then maybe it would start working again. And I know at least for me, I'm usually not sticking through something that long, you know? And then you have to consider the opportunity cost where it's like, okay, well, but maybe there's something better I can find. Maybe I should try that. So it's kind of this is the analysis side of things that is really difficult, and that's kind of the question that I'm not so sure I really have a really good answer for. Is when how do you decide? Like if you have a bunch of edges, how do you decide which ones you focus on? How do you decide which ones you keep doing and which ones you fiddle with?
Sam Willow says by keeping things super simple and analyzing it frequently over various time frames. Raul Fernandez Jr. says so on the MES order book you got there. What is it currently telling you to better understand what I see? Thanks.
Okay, well, so
Sam Willow says otherwise it's gut feel. Which is PR Babbly the best and worst edge?
so what I see on the Dom at the moment, I do see a little there. It's going to change a lot. So at just in this very moment, there was a little bit of buy, but now it's flipping. They're selling it pretty hard right here. It seems like there's some people getting long in here for some reason. So like
Bot
maybe
says PR Babbly slightly smiling face.
probably, yeah. Anyways, but when I'm looking at the larger context and the way that it's been going through past 10-15 minutes, what I see is that the market is in a price discovery mode. They've pushed up, and they pushed up beyond the point at which um like where the stops are, where the top of the expansion is, and now they're pulling back. And now they have done some price discovery a little bit lower. Now we're going to see if that price discovery lower is able to make it all the way back to the open, or if they're going to stop there and push up again. Since overall we are above the open on the day and everything else like that, that you're probably more likely to see it move up again. So you can see right there, there's a lot of buy pressure because all of the shorts are pulling. They all kind of bailed. Yeah. Now you can kind of see a couple of guys sticking orders out and trying to get fills up here. Anyways, there was another question about. Guess kind of got it. Samuel said so. Other ways it's gut feel, which is probably the best and worst edge. Yeah, that's for sure. I mean, the issue with the DOM is that there's really nothing simple about it. It really is a very much like a watch it and figure out the patterns and keep in line with what it's doing at that moment, and kind of using that to guide where you could get a good price, because that's where it really seems to be effective, is being able to tell me, you know, where the strong bid and offer actually is. So there's somebody offering right here, and there's somebody bidding somewhere up down in here. And they'll go back and forth until one side breaks.
Raul Fernandez Jr. says gotcha thanks.
Ding, ding, ding. So right now, I think what's happening here is some buyers are trying to step in again, but there's a battle over it. Notice that on the E-mini, there's much larger orders being traded now. Like sometimes it's taking 200 to get through orders, whereas back up here it was only like 50. So they're kind of, and if we kind of clear the bottom side, we can get even a better idea of where the lowest they went was. See that 305 right there? So they're just kind of taking shots at each other to see which side breaks first. Okay. So buyers made some good discoveries there on the top.
Bot says and drink the Kool-Aid and watch the Ouija board.
Watch the Ouija board. The thing is that this is what's happening right now. Well, let me back up. How can you say that this thing is a Ouija board and this thing isn't? Because my opinion at the moment is that trying to find anything that's truly predictive is losing battle.
Trev the A says g'day Seth. Spent yesterday migrating my indicators from NJ7 to 8. No
Cool.
issues. I really like the series less than greater than template idea. Your
Good.
video gave good context.
Glad that everything is working out for you.
Sam Willow says could DOM analysis be combined with EMAs on low timeframes?
Oh, absolutely.
On BTC there seems to be fairly strong pressure around EMAs.
Well, the first thing that I'll tell you is if you're looking, so we would say an EMA, I'm just going to call it a line. So is a line significant, or at least like was a cross of a particular line? Did the markets care that that line got crossed? You will see it on the DOM. You'll see that when they come through there that there's suddenly more interest in it. That doesn't mean that it's going to go up or down, but it just tells you something about it, that there are people trying to game that particular spot.
Bot says try a different analogy.
I'm not quite sure what you get. Not quite sure what you're getting at.
Raul Fernandez Jr. says this setup looks costly to receive all this data. Maybe that's why there is higher barrier to entry into the futures rather than the equities to retail, residential traders.
Well, yeah. So the data is it just doubled in cost. So it's like $30 a month to get this kind of data. And then, you got the platform set up and everything like that. There's definitely a higher barrier to entry. That's because there's really big profits can be made if you're successful with it. So what you gonna do? And that's the way it is. Usually you have to spend a little bit of money to make money. And that's the way the world kind of works, right? Is everybody's looking for an edge. And if there's something that somebody can use to make money, then obviously you're going to demand some money for them to do that. And then the whole thing is trying to find things in which the amount that you make will give you a much higher return than what you paid for it. In other words, you can make more from it than what the market is pricing or expects that you can. That's how markets work. Just like in equities, everybody's looking for, which stock will give me the highest alpha. It's the same thing, just looking between markets and looking at strategies is what is going to give you the highest alpha.
Bots says only my opinion, but I get the sense that the DOMs you watch are like driving in the dark watching the GPS screen, whereas this which side of the hour open is the current bar trading on?
Not necessarily. It depends on what you're using it. So like if I'm using the 10-year and I'll just give you a simple strategy that doesn't work but is really simple. My strategy is fade icebergs. Every time that I see an iceberg there on the DOM, when that happens, it is a very quantitative. It's some oil. There can be qualitative attributes to it, but when it happens, you know that it happened. If you're looking for volume clusters, which is kind of what I'm doing here in the E-mini, when you see them, it happens. But it is so very much what is happening right now. It is so very much what is happening right now. It's like if you're driving a car, the DOM will show you that we're turning right, but it doesn't necessarily tell you that overall we've been driving north for the past hour, right? But if we've been driving north for the past hour and now the road is about to turn and go south, doesn't really matter if we've been driving north for the past hour, does it? So there's kind of this whole thing. It's just like, to put another way, the question is always, will the trend continue or reverse? That's always a question. And I'll tell you, just the fact that reversals exist tells you that a trend continuation or a trend in a particular direction doesn't always mean that there's going to be a continuation, right? Just found some info on Optimus Futures. They offer higher margins for those smaller accounts and let you pick your charting software and clearing firm. Have you heard of them? Yes. So I know Matt Z over there at Optimus really well. Spoken to him many times. I did a little video with their new software that they've got, which is actually quite nice. It is higher. While they offer higher margins for those smaller accounts, the commissions that you pay at Optimus is going to be a little bit more than what you pay at, like, say, AMP Futures. I don't think that their software is as good as Jigsaw, but the package that they offer is probably the best, like, starting package that you can get. Like, if you don't want to spend a ton every month on your software, that's the place to go to get started. And they do have some good stuff. They have a pretty good depth map. Their DOM is usable. Their charts are pretty good. You can program with it, and their programming is okay. So it's not like my preferred platform of choice, but it's definitely will get the job done. And they have so many resources when you're a member. So much information they give you, and if you have any problems, their support is really, really useful. And so for a beginner, I think that they're a great platform. There's also, if you are looking to like swing trade more than scalp, they're really good. And they're much more focused towards swing traders. Matt told me, because I was looking at their DOM, I'm like, well, here's a couple of things about their DOM that I think they should improve. And he said, well, I don't necessarily want to have the best DOM because my traders that make money are all swing trading. So I'm trying to get more people that are swing traders. So he developed a platform that had the best swing trading tools in. Their tools, like their TPO and everything, are really, really good. Okay, well, it looks like that price discovery lower has abated for now. They are moving up. I do see a good amount of volume on it, but it's not enough to break it up. Well, look at that. Down was a little much. Michael XZ says, "Isn't it just Quant Tower?" So it is Quant Tower, but they have licensed their own version of it and they've forked it basically, and they're adding features to it. So like the features that you will see on theirs are really more risk management features. Interpretation of the outside bars you're referring to is they signal the beginning of a new round of price discovery, and sometimes they're the beginning of a reversal, but not always. Okay, yeah, that's the way I was interpreting them. I haven't seen an outside bar for a while. We saw when we moved to the upside there, I saw some outside bars, and then we moved down, and I haven't seen any since. Maybe we'll get some though. Did I leave the price pivots on? I did. Okay. I was kind of wondering. I was like, well, I have a line drawn up there. Why do I have a line drawn up there? Oh, because it was a price pivot. Now, there was a pivot high up there. Confirmed pivot high. And we closed right at the pivot. That's interesting. Did you see how the DOM, there was a sweep of orders that came in just at the last second to try and make sure that bar stayed below the pivot? And it ended up right at it. There have been 4 on the 1 minute since the RTH opened. Yes, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, I see them. But there hasn't been one since the top of the hour. That's where I'm kind of, and there hasn't been one since we crossed that ATR. That I have an ATR line, and we briefly crossed it, and then turned back up. So what I'm seeing in the order flow seems to be in line with what I'm seeing on the chart in terms of staying in the trade. WTI crude is at $10 now. Man, yeah, I mean I watched the CL and they're like what, 22.85, but yeah, I saw the headlines about the WTI crude. It's just pretty crazy, right? So if I could, John, I was asking you earlier. Oh wait, you did send me a picture. You sent me a
RJ
picture,
Wheel
but you
says
didn't
yikes
show me
crude.
where the
$5 oil next.
the reason why I asked you where would you draw your line was I drew a line earlier way back here, and you can see that they went
RJ Wheel
briefly
says
through
back to
it.
1989.
So I'm kind of wondering if that was an
Rocky
effective.
X says, so what you are mostly looking at while trading S is the volume actually traded and not so much the order book?
Well, no, I do watch both, but the thing that you got to remember with the order book is that the order book is so short term. Like really, if you wanted to trade purely off of the order book, you probably need to be an algorithm. That's the conclusion that I've come to, at least in ES. Might not be the same thing in the 10-year. But in ES, you probably have to be an algorithm. It just changes too quickly. You
Bots
see right
says what
now.
time frame are you trying to draw those lines on?
I drew that on my 1 minute chart. I drew that on my 1 minute chart, and I drew it from an outside bar that I saw at starting at 757 was where I put the base of it, and then I put the other side at around 8:10 Eastern time, and that's how I got my line. They did push it. Right now, what I'm seeing in the E-mini suggests, ranging behavior trying to stop each other out. In other words, it may be possible that that round of price discovery has completed and they are in consolidation range at the moment, but they're like on the top side and they're like really close to where they could start some more discovery. But I do see some signs of like range consolidation. But anyways, so something if you're watching the ES and you really want to get into the order flow, something that I find really, really useful is the power meter. There's this little button right here. And you get this power meter right here. When you watch the power meter, it really gives you a good idea of how quickly this changes. So when you look at the overall stacking and pulling, you can see that net they are positive 500 contracts. Well, they were for a moment. Positive 500 contracts, and there was only like 100, 200 contracts on the offer. But then look at how quickly it changes. See that? So there's like a 2-to-1 ratio, and then all of a sudden it just like almost instantly changes. And it's the same thing on this one. You can kind of see there's more offers. They tend to move into the side that has more in this column right here. So because there's more offers here, that suggests that there's people long looking to get a new high. Right? So those are just kind of the little things that you can pick out. So you can kind of pick those out for kind of more like directional feeling at the moment. And then you want to look and see where they're trading the volume in here. Which prices are absorbing and which to kind of figure out where your bid and offer are. And that is kind of where you're going to have an idea of, do I want to go long or short? And then you're going to have to know, okay, well, if I do want to go long, I'm going to want to get it down on this side, because you can see through here, this whole area right here, they're not really, they're just going through those prices, right? It's actually from here to here. Okay. See how that line, they can't get through that line. There's somebody in this area right here buying. Okay, now that time we came up, there wasn't really enough up here to get through. But it's so short. It's so short term. It's really hard to do on the ES. So then you got to get into things like the cumulative delta. Like right now, cumulative delta all morning. New high.
Bots says
high
15
cumulative
minute
delta.
just closed an outside up close bar and price failed to extend the high for now.
Wait a second. That was an outside up close bar. Oh, you're
Raul
right.
Fernandez Jr.
Okay.
says MES needs to break over 2,837.50.
Yeah. So this 2837, there was a pivot and we broke it. Well, now I'm getting some signs of price discovery starting again. Anyways, you just got to remember on the DOM, you're looking at things that are going to be like, they're going to tell you what might
Bot says
happen
I
in the
sent you a
next
chart
second.
detailing the lines I had drawn so far this morning.
Oh, okay, you have a different line. I can see. You want me to pull this up? Anyways, you're looking at things that will maybe tell you the next 5 seconds, and then you just watch them over and over again to give you an idea of are things mostly bullish or mostly bearish. And then you probably are going to have to use some other kind of edge to give yourself good risk reward and everything else like that. Okay, so you drew something here. Yes. Okay, and then here's this top spot. So you did draw something way back there. Kind of in the same place. Close to the same place that I did. I think. Right at 5. Oh, I see. You drew one at 5, and I don't know where the other side of it is coming from.
Bot says your head is in the way. Bot says move the chart to the right.
Yeah, so you're putting your bar close to where I started it at. So is the anchor somewhere back here, or are the anchors between here and here?
Bot says the anchor is where I drew the yellow arrow line. Bot says the start point is where you see the price.
So are you saying that they're here and here? Your chart is a little bit further in than the one that I've got to be able to really see the line. See?
Bot says for the upper line, yes.
Okay. So the upper line is the one that I'm interested in right now, right? So I drew another line, but my anchor for it is way further back, right? I drew about the spot that you have the first point on yours, and then I have another point further back, and they went through it because I basically just kind of determined. Well, the reason that I have it there, if I really get into it, it's a little hard to see because it's purple. So did you see here? We were down, 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 and then there was this outside bar that was purple right here. And that to me, I wouldn't have been able to say it at the time. But then when we switched over this ATR and everything like that, that said, okay, that was a new round of price discovery. So I put it down there, and then when I had
Bot says that left anchor for the upper line is the high of the down close bar that failed to take out the prior bar's high.
I started saying, okay, and then there was some outside bar right there. So then I kind of waited. They ranged, and then the open happened, and sure enough, they went through it. So I don't know if that means anything. It might have just been luck, but that's kind
Bot
of
says I don't draw my lines off outside bars.
no. Well, the line seems to be something like that. Although this most recent one, they made a new high and then they didn't. Uh, what? They didn't get up to that line again. And we're getting kind of some battling it out again up here. Because the question is still the issue that I'm having right now with the way that I've got this set up is that like if I have it like 2 pivots back, you could potentially have to put your stop all the way at 28.25. That's like a fairly safe spot, right? But if you put it down at 28.25, you're giving up more than half of your profits.
Bot says the reason for drawing the lines is to try to outline an outside bar that the software is not showing you.
Well, that is a line that the software's not showing you, right? We could see that there was an expanding range well before any of that. Another up, a little bit of an up. I don't know. I think that we need a better out signal. And I'm thinking, hear me out here. I'm thinking that if we've just had a break and we're starting to get a lot of um, price discovery signaling bars, that
Bot
maybe
says
that's a
right,
sign we
my
get up.
point is where you choose to draw the lines is entirely up to you.
Yeah, all right. So like maybe somewhere around where this bar, this current 5 minute bar started going red. So like around 28.35. Or we could just hold it. I don't know. But the stop is too large.
Bot says the reason for drawing them is simply so you can see where the broadening formation is developing.
Okay, but that's not helpful if I can't quantify it. If I can't make it consistent. I guess it doesn't have to be quantified, but it has to be consistent.
Raul Fernandez Jr. says holy crap I can't get a good read on the direction of MES right now.
Well, it looks like you're getting kind of a little bit of fight in it, right? Buyers made a new high back there. They're going for another new high, but there was some people tried shorting it up in there. Well, one thing that I could do is right around. Oh, where is that? Okay. I'm just looking at it right now.
Daniel K. says I'm eyeing 2,841 to 2,842 for a short.
Okay. Well, I'm just looking at my calculations to in terms of how far we're likely to go if uptrend continues and we reach the daily volatility range targets, and that puts us all the way up at 2860. Now, range has been somewhat constrained lately, We are higher on the VIX today, but we've been moving down. So we can't say for sure that we'll get there or anything. And we're still kind of testing that, but that has been a pretty good target in times past. Well, and we busted the outside of there was an outside bar on a 5-minute chart, and we busted the top of that too.
RJ Wheel says I've got it testing 846.
So you can kind of see on the DOM pushing it down. So they're still in fight mode. 2846. Okay, so there was the sellers, and now buyers are coming back in. Still looks like some people initiating a short here, trying to prevent it from getting to a new high. Let's reset the cumulative delta here. So look at how much they're buying it compared to the sell during that short period. And you can see all of the longs setting up. They want a new high. There's still people taking shorts up here though too. So you probably have a good setup. If they break this high, then there's probably going to be a good run, but they're trying their best to stop it from happening. Okay, so here's the start of a new hour. Ooh, that was a strong push right there. That might be is what it takes. Let's see. Yeah, look at him. Look at all that volume trading up there above 37. Whee! That's a little spot that I've been trying to use as a setup a few times, but I've noticed that you have to take it off really quickly. If I had caught that run right there, I have to be getting out at 28, 38, 25 there, where there was the 700. Still not quite there. It was a good break of the high, but there's some other things that need to happen here.
Gekyum says what is happening here.
Well, we're sitting here and we're watching the market and trying to not fall asleep. They're buying it. Actually, I find I'm quite engaged at the moment. Okay. Wait, why was it? Do I have my colors off on this? Oh, I do. Okay. So we're here in a spot where, I mean, we're still within the first 5 minutes of the hour, so they just appear to be like really stuck in here at the moment. Yeah. Now the question is, John. So I was asking about the pivots because right now there's a possible pivot low, and they're not confirming it, and it's taking a bunch of bars. And I'm wondering, a is there a potential setup where if it takes too many bars for them to confirm a pivot low, if there's a possible setup there, we can go and do some statistics and find out if there's a probabilistic edge there or not. And then conversely, if a pivot low fails, a possible pivot low fails before confirming what is the possibility on that. Is there a tendency for it to trend after that? For the moment, though, still difficult going. They were really close there, but they didn't quite get it. Well, I'm feeling a lot of things are telling me that they're trying to go short. He actually pushed up there through a lot of pulling. Let's see here, 28.34 is the point of control for this session. That would maybe explain it. Okay, well, that's going to cancel out that pivot low. Oh, no. I wonder if my mind is just having some tendency to look for the thing that's just on the edge. So I'm looking for this particular thing to happen, and they're coming close and they never quite do it. And then that thing will happen, and then I feel like I'm looking for the next thing that is like just barely on the edge. You know? U.S., Mexico, and Canada extend travel restrictions across shared borders for 30 days, says U.S. official. Chad Wolf, in close collaboration, U.S. Mexico have each agreed to extend the restrictions. UK reports a sharp drop in virus deaths in the last 24 hours. England, Wales, and Scotland amounts 450 more coronavirus deaths, the fewest number for a fortnight. The virus numbers do look good. Okay, so this one may finally do it. There you go. Hmm. Let's see. What are the coronavirus case numbers for today? New York, 314, an increase of 1.72%. Numbers are definitely going down. Hey, there you go. New high. Very, very nice. All right, guys. Well, here comes some of your numbers. 42. Still want to short it? I don't know. That was a pretty good uptrend right there. This is maybe one of those ones where it's like a crazy good uptrend and then it just like sputters out on you, you know? Hmm. So I have a question. Well, it's not like a question for you guys, but just kind of like an open question here about the coronavirus cases. Because I'm looking, I don't know if it's just my friend group, but it kind of looks to me like it's a debate that's going on across the country because there's these groups of people over the weekend that were basically protesting the government keeping um, quarantine measures in place, not easing restrictions. And there's kind of been two things that I've seen happen in the data recently. One is that there was a study done in California where they tested antibodies. They went through to 42, where they measured antibodies, and they they did a study in California where they were looking at antibodies. And the conclusion that that study came to was that 3 to 4% of the LA population had antibodies. And, oh, yes, RJ Will says 2846. Well, the first one was 42, right? So we'll see. No, John says it's out of sequence. So it is correct then? Okay. Yeah. Sorry. I'm like, it's too easily distracted. 3 to 4% of LA has antibodies, and that is like 20 to 40 times higher than what we thought. So, according to that study, the number of infected is much higher than thought. All right. Well, The other thing that's going on, though, is that we're seeing a decline in cases across the board, especially in places like New York. So I see a lot of people saying, well, if we ease restrictions now, not enough people have immunity, right? If it's 3 to 4%, if it's 3 to 4%, that is not enough for herd immunity. That is not enough. So, uh, why are the cases decreasing? If we haven't hit herd immunity, then shouldn't the number of cases continue at a relatively steady pace because we're still not over the curve to the point? Because in my mind, the curve is not necessarily when the number of cases starts to decline. The curve is a theoretical point at which there's enough herd immunity that the spread slows. These two pieces of data seem to be conflicting, and I'm seeing everybody argue about it, saying, "I'll trust the experts" and everything like that. But like, look at the data, guys. Like, the experts don't even know. Nobody knows what's going on. Nobody knows what's going on. So what's going to happen? Should we be easing restrictions? Now, one of the things that I see posted is they say, well, look, in the Spanish flu epidemic, they eased restrictions. And then there was a second wave, and the second wave killed way more people. But the second wave was like a mutation. And we don't know if that's going to happen in here, so it might not even apply. RJ Will says, I'm still long trapped some profit at 46. Okay, well, we did get to 46, but we went through it, right? So I guess if it was a profit target, that's cool. So I'm still looking at 60. I guess if we get it, and I'm actually going to put it at 59, but okay. So he's saying that in some cases, when it's out of sequence, you would have to draw. We would need to draw that there was a pivot high there. Anyways, I wonder if I come in here on my Facebook, if people are still talking about that. It's interesting that you guys, so I mentioned that to you guys, and there's a lot of you watching. By the way, thank you so much, all you guys, for watching. You click that like button. We've had a good day. But I wonder if I'm not getting a ton of comments off of that. So do you guys not care as much as my Facebook page does? Let's see here. Don't you think it is a little weird that the United States has the most cases of this pandemic? Not at all. Because I'm reading my Facebook. Not at all, because the United States has a much larger population. And then this person makes a bunch of lies. I'm gonna have to go back and correct that one, because that stuff is everything in this is wrong. Like, everything about that is wrong. Oh my gosh. They're still going. Another new high there. Hmm. No, I don't actually see a whole lot more messages about it. Maybe it was just that news cycle. I don't know. RJ, I was stopped on the 42 short. All good. First trade of the day. Oh, okay. So you did take it short at 42? Well, the question, I don't know. It's not a question that I should even ask. I was gonna say, so what gives you what evidence did you have that suggested that it was gonna turn there? But that's of course not something that he has to or probably even should tell us if it actually has a stat. But I guess I'd just say, should have a stat to say that it works there. And then you would look at things that would be like, um, what are situations when it tends to fail? What are the situations that it tends to do that in? What do you think, Seth? You suspect numbers are wrong? RE testing and mortality? And we've still not managed to put in a pivot high for the RTH session on a 5-minute chart. Okay, I understand. So presumably we would want to keep it on until there's been a new pivot, until they've put in a pivot high. That is, we're trending up. I think though, if I get my upside target up there, then I'm going to take it off. Of 397 people, 146 had antibodies of COVID-19. Where was that? Oh, a Boston homeless shelter was tested. Okay, yeah. So if it was 30%, like that's the whole thing. I don't think either of these studies are reliable enough. I think we're going to need much more. They're here in Utah. They've been setting up testing, and they are planning on doing a really big one. So we'll see. I don't know if that's just going to be in Utah or if it's going to be like they're going to take tests from all over the place. 0 people of the 146 had symptoms. Yeah. I think that there's a lot of evidence to suggest that it may be more contagious and less deadly than believed, which is to say that most people don't get symptoms. But the California study said 3 to 4%. And there was questions in that study about like the way that they selected the participants. I think this is the same thing in Boston. Like, so you're talking about homeless people. Those are people that have like been out there. So I don't know if that's really a sample size that we can really apply to the larger population either. 2849 is a big hurdle. Okay. I'll look at that. The description of price for its suggested price can always trade higher until they put it in a high. So it's good information to have in real time. I agree. That looks like it's the case talking about if it's not necessarily a good sample. So, but I still ask, why is the number of cases going down? Right? That's the number of cases, the number of daily new cases and the number of deaths going down. That is like real, like that is happened stuff. Whereas there's all these numbers underneath that kind of can be components of that we don't know. But that is one thing that we know, and it's going down. And you have to ask, so are we over the curve or not? And how far over the curve do you have to get before you can ease restrictions? Because in my mind, if you're over the curve and you don't ease restrictions, then you're just extending the restrictions further than they need to be. It should be that as we get over the curve, restrictions should ease so that the curve kind of flattens off until you reach that herd immunity, and then it should just like plummet because everybody has it at that point. Much more things to gather at. Well, now that they're having this trend up, like there's not a whole lot to fight it, you know? Up until, like I said, my volatility target is up at 28.59, 28.60 or so. Let's see here, Simon Todd. Another study, small in Chelsea, Massachusetts, of 200 random people, and 30% had COVID-19. Well, and zero had some symptoms. The current thinking is they want to see the curve dropping for 14 days. That's what the United States said. Is that, or where are you getting that from? Because I remember the administration's qualifications for easing restrictions was decreasing cases for 14 days. And I think that we're there in New York at the end of the week, right? Hey, we'd need a chart. I would need a better chart, because the thing that I look at just gives me the straightened numbers for the day. Then I come back and I look like, so let's look at Utah. So Utah, we're still only 27 deceased and 3,000 confirmed cases. Well, I'm going to have to check back today to see what the percentage was. We were moving up by like 5%, but per day. But so this is the other side of it, as like, okay, if New York is already over the curve, that doesn't necessarily mean that Utah is over the curve, or that Texas, they're reducing restrictions. That article is scary about the number of people that the Chelsea, Massachusetts study. Anyways, I don't think that they're fudging numbers or anything like that. I just think that there's a piece of data that's going to be proven wrong. It's a piece of data, like we have conflicting pieces of data now. More than half of Los Angeles workers are now unemployed. Research from the USC Downside Center for Economic and Social Research found that only 45% of LA residents are still employed, down 16%. This means an estimated 1.3 Angelenos, I don't know how you say that, have lost their jobs. 42 was 50% retrace of the overnight high low. There was things to say 42 short, but given the strength of the move, it wasn't legit. Gotcha. Well, I got a confirmed pivot high on the 1 minute chart. He estimates the fatality rate to be 0.46. And you know what, Simon? I bet you that's probably close. Right? This is something that I think people kind of suckered themselves into. It was Donald Trump came out and said, I think that the mortality rate is much lower than 4% or whatever it was. And then everybody said, no, that's not what the experts say. But then when you look at like the number of people tested and everything else like that, it was like a pretty easy call that the infection rate was going to go down. And I was looking at lots of things where they said, okay, if we just look at a cruise ship where everybody got it and how many of those people died, and then it came out that the death rate was like 0.6. So I think I would bet, like if there was a market for what that death rate is going to be in the end, I would bet that it'll end up being below 0.6. The variable is how many tested. Only 1% of the population is tested. There isn't much value in confirmed case numbers. Well, yeah. So, yes, there is, because a confirmed case number means that somebody got sick enough that they had to go to the hospital for it. So that number is useful, but it's not useful for predicting the overall curve, is it? Because we can see confirmed cases, and then there's going to be total cases on top of that. How do I do this? Here's confirmed cases, and then total cases is going to be, so much more on top of that. But there's no way you could possibly know. H1N1 fatality rate was 5.1, and it ended up being 0.0. Is it really 0.02? It demonstrates that geographical targeting of lockdowns is as effective as large-scale lockdowns. Really? Well, so now here's another one that I found interesting. Did you read the study from he's not an epidemiologist, but he's a well-known guy in Israel that they consider to be smart with numbers. And he said that when you look at it, it doesn't matter how many people had it or how widespread it is or even what kind of measures they put in place. Everywhere it ends up going out of control for about 40 days. And then by the end of that, it dies out. Which makes absolutely no sense. I mean, I think he's right. When I look at all of the cases, I'm like, I can't think of an instance where he's wrong on that. But there's no way like that trend can hold. There would have to be, if like here in Utah, we've had it for 40 days. I'm sure we're not at herd immunity. I think that the chances of you going out and catching it in Utah right now is really, really low. You haven't just flattened the curve. We crushed it. How does herd immunity work if you can get reinfected? Okay, so with that, then you have to almost treat it like two separate viruses. But Arash, on that one, we're still unsure on that, right? There's been some cases where people have gotten reinfected, but I don't think that there's been enough cases for there to be a scientific conclusion on that one. They could just be isolated cases. Put another way, wouldn't we be seeing like a huge resurgence in China and probably starting to see it in Italy now if that was the case? Well, we can't really trust the Chinese data. So I guess we can watch in Italy and see if there's a second wave in Italy. But that was what happened in the Spanish flu, was that there was a second wave. In that case, it wasn't because of polymorphism. So there's this thing where you can have one virus can have two genetic sets in it. And once the one genetic set starts getting killed, then it switches over to the second one and it can still infect. Anyways, that what happened in the Spanish flu was that it mutated, in fact, which is completely different. And there's always a possibility of it mutating, and you can't predict that, I don't think. Yeah, just like a Sweden's number, if you think that no lockdown and herd immunity thinking is the way to go. Well, I mean, I don't even think that's relevant, John. Because here's the thing. Like, we already, in the United States and Canada, we already went to flatten the curve, right? So the question is not flatten the curve or don't flatten the curve. I think that Sweden, their position is, I believe, misconstrued. They didn't say, let's not flatten the curve. What they said was that we trust people to do what is correct for them, and we're going to tell the public that we need to try and stop the spread of coronavirus, but we're not going to shut down businesses and force people to do it. That's what Sweden did. So what they said is, we want to flatten the curve, but we're not going to enforce anything to make the curve flatten. That's Sweden's position, okay? In the United States, we chose to flatten the curve. But here's the real argument that's going on right now. It's not whether we should flatten the curve or not. We already did that, and the evidence that we have based on confirmed cases in New York is that we've already flattened the curve and that we're over the crest. Now, there's a lot of reasons why that doesn't really make sense, but that's what we're seeing in the data. So some piece of data that we have somewhere is wrong, okay? But now the question is, should we flatten the curve or should we crush the curve? Some people are saying that we should keep everything locked down until there is a vaccine, right? That's what they're really pushing for here. They're saying even though we've peaked, we can't raise the restrictions. We can't do that until we've completely crushed the curve, right? Which means that we could potentially see restrictions go all the way through into the election and into next year, and a second wave in the fall and spring of next year, right? And if you keep the lockdown restrictions in place on there, the economy will not survive that. You can't have 50% of people in Los Angeles unemployed for a year. Okay, that's not going to work. That's not going to work. If a lockdown until a vaccine, what is the probability of a full-blown Mad Max? I don't know. I don't think that it would quite go that bad, but it would be devastating financially, that's for sure. If that happened, I think that you would have a Great Depression situation where a large portion of the US populace is homeless and jobless and living in shanty towns off of the land or something like that. See, there's this decision that has to be made. When do you ease restrictions and how do you ease them? And we don't have enough data to really know what the correct decision is in reality. I think what you're going to find happen is that they're going to acquiesce. Like you're seeing this big debate over it right now, and even Republicans are kind of like 50-50 unsure about when you should do it. But if this goes on for another week, I think you're going to see a lot of people. I think you're going to see a lot of people that are going to have different opinions on it then at that point. And we'll see what they do. But you can just only keep people unemployed and force them into a lockdown like that for so long. And I kind of think like 2 months, 3 months is kind of the limit at which that you're just going to have riots in the streets and outright, ignoring the restrictions. Because people are going to, because the thing is if you're immune, okay, you can go out there and do whatever you want and you're safe, right? Supposedly. Assuming there's not, a second wave sort of a situation. Okay, but if that is the situation, it's kind of like you could work, you could do anything that you want at that point because you're immune. So isn't there like a financial incentive to become immune? It seems to me that there's a financial incentive to become immune, and the number of people that are willing to take that risk is just only going to increase. So I think that whether it's the right decision or not, I think that they're gonna start easing restrictions, and you're gonna see what is it? How should I describe it? There's gonna be FOMO. Okay, there's gonna be states like Texas that have eased the restrictions. Now maybe in Texas they have a really bad wave and it ends up being really bad. Okay, but there might be other places that are already over the curve or they just didn't have a bad enough breakout. But whatever the issue is, they're going to be experiencing a rapidly growing economy because they eased the restrictions. And everybody that is still in a restricted area is going to be looking at those places and going, oh, wait a second. They're making all of the money and all of the recovery. And by the time that we're done, there's not going to be anything left for us. If you're unfamiliar with DePrato, he is considered the biggest stud on the face of the planet with respect to algo machine learning asset management. Oh, okay. If you posted a link, it's not going to show me the link. Like when you hit enter, you'll see it, but it actually hides it. So you have to put spaces around the periods or send it to us on Discord for me to see the link. But if you give me the name of the guy, I could probably just search for it. Well, there was a pretty good move up there, but it is kind of... I am starting to see that we're at a new round. I guess if I get that pivot low, then I can get out. But you have a Discord link. Yeah, if you look in the video description below, there's a link to Discord. And it just posted in like the articles section. Somebody was asking, there's no stream today, but we're streaming. By the way, there's a guy, he does a little show on Sundays called Ghost Squawk. And I had a conversation with him. I watched his couple of his videos, and I thought they were pretty good. And they invited me to come on, so I'm going to go and do that. So next Sunday at 7 o'clock Eastern Time, 7 p.m. Eastern Time. So, in the evening when the futures markets open is going to be where the is going to be that stream. We're going to do that. So you guys can tune in then and watch that. Win, how are you? I saw you earlier this morning for a few minutes. Everything good? Okay. Hello. How are all the 28 watching now? And will you please hit like? Thank you. 10 likes. Good job. Yeah, we've done pretty good today. I kind of screwed up management of my first trade, but I think that we say that first one just failed with a small loss. And then we took it again on the second run of it, and it really turned out for us. And I may get out here soon. They seem to be trying really hard here. We still got like 2 minutes though before that. I'll know the result of that. What else do we got going on? I guess that I need to come in here and go into my journal. This one I'm not going to count it. Because that one was kind of dinking around. Oh, you know what I think is happening is that Jigsaw is not refreshing correctly, so. Now do I see it? No, I'll have to retry later. I think that one confirmed pivot high exit isn't okay to take it. There's your confirmed pivot high. As long as the current bar closes below 28, 48, 50. Yeah, which it did. But is that really where we want it? Because like that, this is the thing is like it came back really far. So that's what I was saying earlier. This thing up here, this right here, when we broke 28.50, that was a pretty good clue right there. But that happens every time. That happened over here too, right? So I don't know if you can use that as your signal, but if you were to have gotten out there, that would have been another $25 or so. 25, $30. So we can definitely do better on the exits. The question is just what we got to do. Probably in this situation, if I was willing to sit around and wait longer, I think that we would want to hold it for 28.59. Whatever. And maybe we could also say, like 9.10 is where we want to get out. But anyways, In the Northeast, the weather has been unusually cold and rainy. Once the long hot weather comes, New Yorkers and New Yorkers won't remain locked in. Oh, yeah, definitely. When the summer comes, there's no way they're going to be able to keep restrictions on. If an extended period of lockdown, do you think LA will look more like Escape from LA or Battle Los Angeles? Well, it hasn't been that cold in Los Angeles, right? But they haven't had that many cases either. I think that they're probably being. Well, they have 31,000 cases and 1,000 deaths. I don't know. I mean, here's the thing. You look at Italy, okay? There's no question that this virus can cause disaster just because of Italy. Now, there's a couple of things about Italy and its healthcare system and its population that kind of exacerbates things, but there's no question that there's a reason for caution. And you look at New York. I don't think that New York has been a disaster, but it's been pretty bad. And they put in restrictions fairly early. So I don't think the position that some people have where it's like we shouldn't have done anything. All of these restrictions are all dumb and the whole thing is a hoax. That's nonsense. We have more than enough data to prove that's been proven wrong already. But what do we do from here? Cases are decreasing. You have to reduce restrictions at some point, right? ES could retrace 38 to 40 area. 46 is transformed from resistance to support if we're getting a relaunch here. Yeah, well, there was that whole, I don't know, like I may have ended up getting out at like the low point, you know? Just when we said that there was that pivot, we haven't had that pivot high thing, you know? I was looking for a reason to get out, I guess. I don't know if that was a good reason to get out. Our season golf course lakes has not arrived yet, and neither have the tourists, but my community is holding a meeting to decide if they want to open up at all. They will. My duck hook drives allow me to maintain social distancing on a golf course. I don't know. John, I think that so far we've been trading this okay. I've been trading this okay. But I just based off of what I've seen so far, in order for this to really work, I think I need a better exit strategy. I think that in most cases, moving the stop up is correct, but you lose a lot of profits if you do that. And if it's one that doesn't really go, then you're going to be in trouble. So I think that I need a better kind of like set of confirmation signals of sorts to say, okay, now is a good place to get out. I suspect that we could stay long here and that we will get another new high for the day. But I gotta work, so I'm just gonna keep watching it. And another thing that we could do is we could, when the 9:30 hour starts, if we get another positive run, then we could go long again. But anyways, thank you guys for watching. Well, lots of people came on today. I'm happy about the way the stream is going. I'm happy the way that the trading went today. Our experiment so far. I thought I stayed focused fairly okay. Yeah. I'm not happy with that stuff at the beginning. Bot says you need to clearly define what constitutes an entry. Well, I think that I have a set of qualifications about what I think constitutes an entry. Sometimes you say things that make me think that we're changing it or that you're changing your mind. But I have a list of things based on what we discussed that I'm using for my entry. But the only thing then craft your exits based on seeing an opposite signal, that we could do that too. I don't think that we've seen an opposite signal, have we? But the issue again is still that like by the time you see an opposite signal, you're going to be down like 5 points in this market. In this market, that difference is like 5 points. And in this case, we got like 20. Yeah, I'm only trying to have a discussion with you. Okay. when I ask a question like that, I maybe misunderstood then. Because when I was asking, I thought my first thought was, did I get it wrong? So let me approach it like that. And it's very frustrating to do by typing in a chat box. You're right. No, I'll so let's put it this way. The key the important thing right now, of course, the whole profit thing is something that we need to look at, but the important thing right now is when there is a signal, I take it, and that when I take it, there's a signal, and that I'm not chasing false signals. That I'm trading the entry criteria as we expect it, right? And then if it doesn't work out, we can analyze it. But I wasn't looking for like, well, why did that one fail? I was looking for like, wait, did I do it right? Should I have not taken that one? I think though that our conclusion was that I did take the right one, and that one just you could have taken profits on it, but that one just didn't go, which is okay. We need things like that in our stats. Is Jigsaw going to show me my? When I go in and I look in my journal queue, I don't see that winner yet. Oh, now I see them. Okay, so this one I'm not going to count, but this one I will. No, actually, those two are really. The first one lost, and then we'll count this one. So these two we're going to dismiss. This one, I'm going to. Where's the little button for me to? Journalytics is being weird. Okay, so this one. See that one? It's so interesting. There we go. These two we're going to dismiss. Okay. So now I think I got everything in my journal correctly. Your title is just okay. Today is National 420 Day for the Stoners. You could play with that in the title. No, I don't want stoners coming in. Thoughts on MES right now? Well, so the thing that I was just noticing is, and I've seen this happen a lot, is that they will just barely break the ATR stop, and then they'll continue back up. You see how many times they've done that? But-ish. So that turning there on its own is not a good signal. Failure here at the retest of 2853.50. Okay. Oh yeah. Ooh, if they come back below like 49.50. Yeah, I don't know. Like so I got out on when it confirmed a pivot low. I'm thinking here though, how can I get more? Well, so I think what you're saying, John, is maybe because when this confirms, this on the 1 minute chart it hasn't confirmed, but if we do get a confirmed pivot lower, then maybe we take it off. So we won't get the exact high, but so tomorrow, if we get the same sort of a setup, I should do it that way. Oh wait, he's got a picture. Let's see. Possible exits. Yeah. No, totally. See, he's saying here was the first high. Well, so that one, I want to know what you would use as that one. I mean, obviously that was a good place to get out, but what was it that was telling you that was a good place to get out? You know, because the signals that I saw happened on the previous run too, like back when we were at like 34 area. So that's, maybe too sensitive. But that's where I'm saying, like, maybe we should look at the range and the volatility target and things like that and take it from there. And as long as what we're getting on our winners is higher than that stop, then I think we're okay. But now I'm thinking, hey, hold it. Break below that inside bar. Inside bar was too weak to extend the high. Oh, okay. Oh, I don't have my inside bar thing. I changed stuff and then it didn't end up where. Okay, I'm gonna have to look. I'm going to write them out. We'll write them out and we'll talk about them. Try and figure out what the best way to do is. But the other one that I was talking about is just like, if we have a move and it comes up, okay, I came in and I got out here when we finally confirmed a pivot high. But what I could do is I could get out here like that. 28, 51, 25. Yeah. No, totally see that. I need to go back though and look at the other ones, and it's too difficult for me to see them. Because then the question then is, did that happen up here? I don't actually think actually it did. It did happen up here. Happened on the 1 minute chart at 8:28. Sorry, 10:28 your time. I don't know. So we're kind of getting into this thing where it's like, we get in, it goes like this. We can identify this right here, but we don't know at that point if it's going to do this or if it's going to do this. So I think it needs to be two things. It needs to be something like still confirming, so it's worth it to hold it for the new high versus it's not. So it might be more complicated than that. Anyways, I'm yapping too much now. It's 9:30. So I will see you guys tomorrow. And in the meantime, stay profitable.